Hello and welcome! In the first part of my exploration of Groton, Connecticut, we toured the USS Nautilus and discovered why Groton is called the submarine capital of the world. In today's adventure, I'm impressed by tunnels,
This is super cool.
exhausted by stairs,
I was not counting on this many stairs.
and stung by wasps. We begin at Fort Griswold Battlefield State Park. The fort, built at the outbreak of the American War for Independence, is situated high on a hill where it was able to bombard enemy ships entering the Thames River. With its sister fort, Fort Tumble, across the river, it defended New London, a key supply center for the Continental Army, as well as Connecticut-sanctioned privateers who harassed the British Navy. In use from the Revolution to the Civil War, it's most famous for being the site of a crushing defeat for the American forces, the Battle of Groton Heights. On September 6, 1781, General Benedict Arnold, yes, that General Benedict Arnold, once a hero of the Revolution, now its most infamous traitor, led a battalion of troops up the Thames River. Benedict Arnold, who had been born and raised up the river in Norwich, Connecticut, was intimately familiar with the river and its defenses. Almost as soon as troops landed on the New London side of the river, the city's defenses crumbled under the weight of British imperial might. The city was razed to the ground. With the west bank of the river firmly under British control, General Arnold then tasked Colonel Eyre and his 800 troops with the taking of Groton and Fort Griswold. On the Groton side, there were only 165 men of the local militia and volunteers to defend the fort. They were led by Colonel William Ledyard. Upon landing on the east side of the river, Colonel Eyre sent forward a messenger under a flag of parley and demanded immediate surrender. Ledyard, expecting reinforcements, refused. The British forces, superior in training and numbers, quickly overwhelmed the American defenders and rushed through the fort's gate. When Colonel Ledyard gave up his sword in surrender, Eyre took it and ran him through. The men who could still walk were taken prisoner and shipped to the Loyalist city of New York. The rest were massacred. Of the 165 who defended the fort, 85 were dead, and 36 severely wounded. One of my own relatives, Andrew Billings, among them. The battle only lasted 40 minutes. Next to the fort, towering over the surrounding countryside at 135 feet, is a granite obelisk built to honor the fallen in the Battle of Groton Heights. While you might look at it today and think it's just a smaller version of the Washington Monument, it actually predates the monument in DC by almost 20 years, and is the oldest monument of its type in the country. Inside the tower, a narrow winding staircase allows you to climb to the best view in the city, assuming you can make it up the 166 steps.
These are a lot of stairs. I was not counting on this many stairs. Well, that was certainly a climb. You can see the whole city from up here. Through that window, you can see the electric boat facility where they build the submarines. Down there is the old fort. Across the water we've got New London. And over there, got the Thames River and the bridge. and more just the beautiful woodland of Connecticut. And now, time to go down. That was more stairs than I had counted on. Do you know how many stairs that is?
166.
166 stairs. It is very narrow.
After my invigorating climb, it was time to explore the old fort.
Ooh, this is snug. This is super cool. Okay, so yeah, that's the covered way. It's a place where soldiers were able to go from the back of the fort to the front of the fort without exposing themselves to enemy fire. Can you imagine? I had relatives that actually lived in Connecticut during the Revolutionary War. So some of them could have been stationed in forts very much like this. It's really cool to think about. That's the powder magazine, where they would keep all of the gunpowder that the men needed safe and dry and away from fire so that no explosions could happen, because unexpected explosions are bad. This is very interesting. This is a shot furnace. It says that they would heat the cannonballs. They would heat cannonballs in here so that they could set ships on fire with the heated iron of the cannonballs. Really cool. Really awful.
As I was wandering the grounds of the fort, suddenly I felt a sharp pain in my leg.
Yow!
Yes, I said that unironically. Don't judge me.
A wasp just flew up and hit me on the leg. And it hurts a lot.
After the fort, it was time to catch a ride on Groton's water taxi. And since I got there 20 minutes earlier than I needed to, because I have a pathologic fear of being late for journeys, thanks Dad, I have plenty of time to tell you all about it. Open weekends and holidays, it may not be the fastest way to get from Groton to New London, but is by far the most scenic. The taxi makes 3 stops, one below Fort Griswold, one at Fort Turnbull, and one in downtown New London. The journey between stops takes about 20 minutes, and a round-trip ticket costs less than a meal at Wendy's. Definitely worth it if you want to get out on the water. For my journey, I was the only passenger, so it was almost like I had commissioned my own private boat for the afternoon. At the Fort Trumbull stop, I decided to get off to take a look at Fort Griswold's far more intimidating sister. As one of the nation's oldest forts, Fort Trumbull has existed in some form or another since the Revolution. Originally built to defend New London from British attack, it later served as part of the country's coastal defense system. The fort as it stands today, an intimidating bulwark of solid granite, was constructed between 1839 and 1852 in the Egyptian revivalist style, as you can see by its lovely doorways. In 1815, when the US Coast Guard was created, Fort Trumbull became its first training academy. While the fort is now a state park, the Coast Guard Academy remains right next door. As I sail home at the end of today's adventures, I'd like to say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed learning about some Revolutionary War forts with me and climbing far too many stairs. Do you know if you have any relatives that fought in the Revolutionary War? I didn't until I started on this video. Find out and leave me a comment about them. Also, if you would please like and subscribe to my channel, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.